All right, welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Individual Experience. Now, this video is not about me being a TI, but this video is about showing the deception and the lies that white Europeans have gone through in order to erase black people, Africans, out of history, even black Europeans out of history. All right, so I'm gonna keep this short. I am gonna do a lengthy video on this and show you guys uh, the history, the truth. All right, so again, like I said, I'm not just a TI. I'm also a black man. Okay, I'm a black person, and like I said, my purpose is to not just expose being targeted, but also expose the lies that's being told. And I've said this over and over again. Not only have black people been subjugated to the deceptions and the lies, but also white people as well, and others as well also.
Talking about key Africans who have played the part in European history. Was it, I just want to ask a question right at the beginning. Have these people been written out of history? Have they been forgotten by most of us?
A shout out to Without History. It's a YouTube channel. So again, right, why is it that when European scholars know the truth, like for the most part, why isn't there a consensus amongst all of them to speak the truth? And the reason why is because racism exists at the very top of all society, of all structure, okay, particularly in Europe. And the facts are, without black people, white Europeans would not be the civilized people that they are today. Despite the depiction of how black Africans were prior to slavery and prior to enslavement and during the enslavement of African people, all lies, deception, in order to create in the minds of a black person, or black people in general, the concept that Europeans were the ones who were civilized, when they know the truth that it was black people who civilized them, not just once, not just twice, but 3 times, okay, throughout our history, the world history.
And how hard was it to tease them out?
When historians show that the iconoclast movement was primarily an effort to remove all images and icons depicting black people in a position of power, or as deities, these historians are labeled as historical revisionists. And yet it is not just a few images that show that there was a substantial black nobility in Europe before 1453, but in fact, despite centuries of sustained effort to suppress and erase this African presence, there still remains a large body of evidence that still shows this. In 1352, when Jacob van Maerlant made his famous painting of Charlemagne killing a Moorish leader, this is how he drew the Moorish leader: as a black African.
First off, if you haven't made money with AI yet,
are those who have closed their eyes to the abundance of evidence showing that black people, in a second wave of civilizing influence, revived Europe and gave it the foundation for its renaissance. After having invented agriculture in 9500 BC, and after having spawned the 2 most influential civilizations in ancient times, Kemet, better known as ancient Egypt and Sumer, it is black Africans that injected into Europe and the Levant writing, science, religion, and culture. These were inherited by the Roman Empire, which then collapsed in the 5th century AD. And so began the long collapse of European society until the return of the Africans in the 8th century, when the blacks, this time, as the Moors re-injected into Europe, what ultimately became the spark of modernization. In the 800 years that the Moors occupied Spain, the ethnic makeup of these Moors changed over time. It is the early wave of these Moors that were the most influential, and it happens to be the same early waves that were in great majority black African. And they came in such numbers and with such knowledge that they gained significant positions of power in pre-Renaissance European history. And it is this group of black Africans that joined with the remnants of the first civilizing wave of Africans, a few of them still present in Europe. These two groups joined to form a new elite class throughout Europe. And you will see evidence of their presence through multiple artifacts and historical records today.
Okay, so
When we show that Renaissance Europe was in great majority sparked by Africans, it does not mean that Europeans or Asiatics are not capable of civilization building. What we are showing, however, is that Europe of the Dark Ages benefited from the technology, science, philosophy, medicine, and architecture that were reintroduced by a majority black Africans elite in the early periods of the Moors, which transformed over the centuries into a nobility class with evidence littered all over medieval texts. This is the Without History channel. Through primary sources and peer-reviewed research, we bring you perspectives on history that are seldom shared, the often omitted African presence and African influence on ancient civilizations and modernization. This channel is only possible thanks to the generous contributions of those who understand the role of history for
all right, so I want to stop the video right there. But I've talked about this being a TI, right? How the elites, those in power, have money, resources, and how they have the ability to literally deceive the entire world, to deceive white Europeans, to deceive black Africans. Even today, they continue to deceive us, to lie about technology, about history. History that they know is a lie. Okay? So when I talk about religion being a lie, being a work of fiction, this is what I'm talking about. The deception that they've pulled over our eyes. So it is only when you start to do the research and understand what's going on, even with the technology that they claim is not as advanced, right? It is way more advanced than they let us to believe, right? So when I started being targeted overtly, when I started to realize what was happening to me, particularly in my mind, and how I was being manipulated, okay, using microwave and radio wave frequency, looking at my son at the time, who was, he was young, he was under 5, okay, and seeing how, learning about how children can be primed using this technology, radio wave, microwave frequency, all right, that is sync with the brainwave signal, with every neuron that fires in the brain when we touch, taste, when we move, right? There's a neuron that's identified with each and everything that we do and we see and we taste and we smell and we hear. And they're able to duplicate all those things, right? And through radio wave and microwave frequency, able to control and manipulate us beyond anything that we've ever think about or could think about. Like I said, it is my purpose to expose this. And the reason why I'm doing this is to show you how they have lied. They have basically erased black people from history. Okay? And created a new narrative started from the enslavement of Africans. But the truth is out there. And even when we see it in our eyes, they lie to us. Even when we see the Medu Neter, when we see the statues of the great Egyptian kings, not pharaohs, kings and queens, not pharaohs, but pharaoh just means house, but kings and queens. The concept and the idea of kings and queens came from black people. Okay? So I just wanted to just put a little bit of history in terms of the mindset, so you guys can understand the mindset of these people and what they will go through to deceive us. Not just about history, but about technology that they've created. All right, talk to you guys in the next video.